Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Python tutorial series. Today's video marks the first in a few I intend to make on object-oriented programming. But what is object-oriented programming exactly? Well, so far in our coding examples and challenges, we've been writing loose functions, variables, operations, statements, and many other useful commands. But wait, what if all of this could be organized in a much simpler way? This is where object-oriented programming comes in, and in particular, we will start with the concept of a class. You can view a class as a sort of general entity which contains both functions and variables. However, in object-oriented programming, these are no longer called functions and variables, but are rather known instead as methods and attributes. Methods take the form of functions inside a class and represent actions which are specific to the particular class we are building. So, if the class were to represent a vehicle, then one method could be the function which allows it to accelerate or decelerate. Attributes, on the other hand, indicate specific characteristics of the class. Returning to the example of a vehicle, an attribute could be its speed or its direction. So, as I hope you can see from this simple example, a class can be extremely versatile in representing different items using shared variables. But hold on, why is it called object-oriented programming if all we've spoken about so far are classes, methods, and attributes? Well, that's because we haven't explored the final concept for today, objects. Objects are none other than individual instances, or copies if you will, of the same class. What this means is that all objects will have the same methods and attributes provided by the main class. However, the attributes of each object can have different values. So, looking at our example from before, we can use the same general class, which represents vehicles, and from it derive separate objects, which represent all kinds of transport, cars, planes, or even ships. And what's even more important is that each object can have different values of speed and direction, but all can use the same method or function for accelerating and decelerating. So let's recap. Classes provide the general structure, whereas methods define actions or processes which can be undertaken. Attributes are variables which store the status of the class at any given time, and objects are individual representations of a class, each with its own attributes, but sharing the same methods. I hope that this brief overview has provided you with a basic understanding of how object-oriented programming works, and if so, don't forget to like this video. In next week's tutorial, we will see how to translate what we have seen today into code. So make sure you don't miss out by subscribing to the channel and joining the Coding Specs community. As always, I'll leave a link in the video description to my previous tutorials and coding challenges, so don't forget to check those out too. Once again, I look forward to seeing you next week for our next tutorial, and until then, happy coding!